So we are the Copenhagen Coffee Diary. Next. And our creed is to be the ultimate source of inspiration for coffee enthusiasts and travelers in Copenhagen. So in our videos, we review cafes that are close to or easy to reach from CBS. And we offer our viewers an honest opinion on the quality of the coffee, on the atmosphere, on the interior design, and various other aspects of the cafes we go to. And our goal is to allow the viewers to see whether the cafes we review are places they would like to visit or not. Next. And the values we provide our viewers with are firstly emotional. Our videos are basically very pretty and aesthetically pleasing to watch, so we think it's just fun to watch them. And secondly, it's the utility value. Because our opinions are honest, and if something is wrong in the cafe, we say it out loud. So we hope our viewers might avoid an unpleasant experience of going to a bad cafe after having watched our video. Next.
So we imagined that one of the revenue streams that would suit our channel was through the YouTube Partner Program. I guess the problem is that it's quite aspirational and time consuming, because we're not really convinced that we could get that much interest in the channel with the strategy that we have today. But for the future, if we decided to maybe broaden the geographic area that we looked at cafes for, that could be a good revenue stream. Secondly, we thought about sponsorships, product endorsement, and product integration through partnerships with coffee brands, cafes, and exposure on social media platforms. It seemed like quite obvious choices for us, just because of what the channel was about. We could also utilize affiliate marketing, because our format, the format that we had in our videos, allowed for it wasn't like it wasn't very set, so we could have space to include reviews about products and integrate these products into our videos. The format wasn't very strict, so we had a lot of flexibility there. On partnerships, if you want to go to the next slide. Thank you. We partnered with the Bells from class, the girls who discussed different topics and shared their feelings about these topics in their channel. We shared vested interest in gaining more followers, and it's a very good partnership. They were we had one video with them and just discussed friendships and coffee. So that, and both of us had a very feminine style, so it worked well. And our aim with this was just to gain a bigger reach, maybe share our community. Secondly, we filmed Amel's cafe, and this was ideally, our aim would have been through a partnership like this to maybe offer our viewers and subscribers potentially a discount code when shopping with her, and she could then profit from our subscribers, and we could offer an incentive to engage in our channel and organization. We believe that this type of partnership would just benefit both parties, and I think if we were to continue, we would for the future, we would put more emphasis on this type of mutual beneficial partnership. So can go into co-creation theory
now. So when it comes to internal communication, the Cantor's 4-player model was very useful, as it helped us resolve conflict in the very early stage of teamwork. So basically in the beginning, when deciding on the idea for the videos, we really couldn't reach a conclusion. And then we reflected on our conversations, and we realized that we just had too much move and oppose. So everyone was just throwing out their ideas and opposing to what everyone else was saying. So yeah, then we reflected on that, and one team member took the role of bystanding, and that helped us understand like the bigger picture and reflect on the fact that we have to reach some conclusion and select an idea. So then when that was followed by move, the rest of team members was more willing to follow the idea. And next, we didn't really communicate with our subscribers that much, so we are skipping that part. But when it comes to partnerships, I will now focus on the partnership with the bells. As in retrospect, we noticed that the conversational fields are very relevant because that's basically how it worked for us. First, we just threw out some ideas and talked briefly without really reflecting on what the other team was saying. Then we took a break, met the next week, reflected on the ideas of others, and then we put ourselves into their thought process. And by then taking the bigger picture into consideration, we built a space for co-creation. And in the end, we managed to create a video that was a good fit for both of our channels because we included things that were relevant both for us and for them. Next.
Yeah, so looking at the PSOC model, in terms of membership, we were creating these videos with the CBS student in mind, and potentially also for viewers who shared an interest in coffee and cafes around Copenhagen and Frederiksberg. I think because we thought about the CBS student and Frederiksberg, that our target was quite narrow, and it made it easy to speak sort of directly to this group just to encourage that sense of community. For influence, we decided to limit the geographical area for the first videos because it would give us a very specific target from which to build this community, and I think that made sense. We wanted to cater to the CBS student and give them alternatives when they are studying at CBS, and this type or like style of vlogging, there's so many people doing it, so it was nice to have a bit of a niche audience. Yeah. Under integration and fulfillment of needs, we thought about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the extended 8-stage model, and we feel like we could fit the aesthetic needs and also maybe self-actualization. And then for shared emotional connection, it comes through maybe our attendance at CBS, which again means that our viewers will potentially be students who have a daily life that are with quite similar routines and goals and interests, and also would then probably be quite close in age. For responsibility, we didn't really fulfill this part of the community building and management, so we didn't, yeah, nothing to say about that really. We can go to the next slide. We were aiming with these videos for a more female-based viewership, just because of the topic that we chose, and we wanted that feel to be inclusive and feminine and have like an inspiring atmosphere that would feel positive and encourage our viewers to explore the neighborhood around Frederiksberg if they wished. For rituals and processes, the next slide, please. We placed a great deal of emphasis on the rhythm and the style and editing of our videos, just to try to create that ambiance that we wanted, and also have an aesthetically pleasing product. The style of the videos we were inspired by before we started filming were more travel vlog styles. So I guess this is what we attempted to emulate. Yes, and our partnerships were with other girls. So yeah, I think we were able to highlight these aims. And then finally, we have the main learnings.
Yeah, so I'll take this one. And one of the things that I think we learned the most is that we kind of had a lack of strategy. So we couldn't really agree on a topic to begin with, and then kind of came together as like, let's just do what the original topic was. So through that process, I think our team lost quite a bit of motivation. And then we didn't really sit down to kind of plan through what do we really want to do and how do we want to make our content better. But rather we just sort of like took things as they were happening and then just executed on them as we had to. So we didn't put in the effort to engage our viewers more and things like that, as we didn't have sort of more time to meet and to actually go through some of the key ideas that we could kind of work with. That's it.
Excellent. Good. So I have a few questions. First obvious question is you're talking about the collaboration with Amal's Cafe. Did you I'm curious if you actually spoke with Amal about this idea and what was the response?
We did speak to her about the idea and she was very open to it. In fact, she was featured in our video as well and sort of gave us a bit of a tour of the cafe and history and things like that. And we thought that perhaps using her social media, we could also do a bit more sort of collaborating with her by her using our video into her like content.
Yeah, cool.
So I thought that it was a positive experience and it was really like she really enjoyed it as well, I think.
Yeah, excellent, cool. I was just curious how many of the details you shared with her, but it sounds like you had a good conversation with her.
Yeah.
Then you mentioned that one of the team members took a bystand at some point that was important. What was the bystand? What was said? What was the?
It was me, and yeah, the bystand was just pointing out that we all have very different ideas, and we all want to go with our own ideas, but that we have to reach a conclusion. And yeah, I just suggested that we go with the original idea.
Okay, in that way, cool. So bystand / move.
Yes, yeah.
Cool. Then I'm curious about, you say you didn't have much communication with your subscribers. Why not?
Yeah, hard to say. I think it wasn't something we focused on that much, which is obviously a mistake, which our number of views shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there it's like, of course, yeah, sure. So you say you didn't focus on it that much. And rather than just saying that just happened, we just didn't focus on it, it's really good to see, can you use the theory to understand what was it about the group dynamic or whatever that made you not focus on it? Because that's something that's interesting, right? It's like the whole course is about community building, yet you don't communicate with your community. That's interesting, like, because you can say in this is stuff that happens in organizations all the time. You have things that everybody in the organization, when you talk to them, they go like, yeah, we should really do that, but it just doesn't happen. that's like a very realistic organizational problem or issue that you run into all the time. So everybody agrees this should really happen, but for some reason it doesn't.
I think that, in my opinion, at the beginning, because we couldn't really reach to a conclusion, I think that the motivation of the team sort of like didn't really go in the direction that we thought about these details.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really tough to coordinate amongst us, because it was, yeah, we were at different levels of where we wanted to have the project go.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just simply didn't have the team motivated to do the tasks.
And I would say this is like in your papers, I would dig into that and see, can you really understand and explain and come up with like how might you use the theory to understand and come up with strategies for dealing with it? Because as I said, this is like when I've spoken with a lot of managers, and this is like it's like number 1 or 2. It comes up all the time, exactly this thing, like teams where, you know, yeah, we should do it, but somehow it doesn't happen. And it is that lack of motivation. But why is the team demotivated if they think that it should be done, stuff like that. So that's really interesting to look into. Then I think yeah, and I think actually you gave yourself a clue when you were going through the psychological sense of community. You said the responsibility thing, yeah, we don't have much on that. That's interesting. And again, like, how come? So yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing some reflections on that, and that will be something that will be very realistically applicable in almost any organization that you will ever work in.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say is you say you use Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you talk about the need for self-actualization. Do you have a good definition of what is the need of self-actualization?
No, I don't have a good, no, I just included it because I thought, you know, all the, like the whole content of our channel is very, you know, it's nothing that you need. It's not important really. So
okay, so you're thinking it's like not a survival need. It must be one of the higher needs it speaks to.
Yeah, it's like an interest and a luxury to be able to to explore good coffee.
I think again, it's like Maslow, like, and this is important to understand. Theories, any theory is created with something very specific in mind. That's why I say when you read theories or when you read papers, always ask what is the project of the person developing the theory? Why are they developing the theory? Who are they responding to? A theory never emerges in a vacuum. So, like, what is it Maslow is trying to do? When is he trying to do it? Who are the people who he's contradicting with his theory? And that kind of understanding you need, because otherwise you will. I had a thesis student recently who had like a disastrous application of Maslow, exactly because you need to understand the definitions in order to use the theory, and you need to really understand what is the theory a tool. Any theory is a tool. What is it used for?
Okay, thank you.
So I would say leave Maslow out of it.
Okay.
Or if you include him, really understand the theory before you include it, because it is about the need for self-realization is the sort of he conceptualizes as when all the sort of needs of survival and belonging and stuff like that is covered, then something, it's like a shift in consciousness that happens. And all of a sudden, it's like there's that drive to be all you can be that starts coming out and taking the lead on the choices you make in life. And that's the kind of stuff that he's pointing to. He's one of the founding fathers of the positive psychology movement. And it's that context that you need to understand him in. And I don't really think that speaks well to the kind of your channel.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Good. So let's see. Anybody else have comments for this group? Okay, so we are doing the poll-in, and I think here you are not the coffee diary, you're the breakfast diary, but I assume that is fine. So 1 minute, vote, go. Wait. And 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. And we're ending the poll and sharing the result. So here you have the result, and you can make your screenshots. And I think this reflects also, well, you have like almost 50-50 with the people. So I think probably the thing about coffee probably isn't such a, I mean, it speaks to somebody, it speaks to half of the people, and probably also I would assume something about the, I think I think focusing on the aesthetics is probably something that fits well with coffee, but you must see if you can interpret why these results. But you see for the question 3, not many people are sharing the channel with friends, and that's of course something interesting to think about. Good.